What's going on, my friends? Loch Ness Monster got a whole lot of love this year. I don't know if they're calling it a refurb, a refresh, something along those lines, but apparently 900 feet of track got replaced. And you know, this guy is pretty long the way it goes up and down in these woods, down the mountain towards the river and all of that. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. Those stairs kick my butt. But just got done. I rode it twice, once in the front, once somewhere in the middle, wherever. I just wanted to see like how different it was. For sure, it hasn't changed that much in terms of smoothness, but and this is spoilers for anybody at home, it's time to turn it off. We're gonna be discussing like what they've added and all of that. But let's first talk about the queue, which I'm not gonna go through and tell you every little change here, but I'm gonna be showing you some clips of what the queue is currently looking like. It seems like everything got a nice little cleaning, maybe some new items were put in there, definitely some new posters and different types of art there. There's a lot of little Easter eggs throughout. However, I really like all of the audio stuff that they've been adding. So like random ambient things to make you feel like you're actually at an expedition. It does remind me a little bit, I was gonna say it reminds me a little bit of Expedition Everest, and I'll tell you, it's because of the layout of the queue and stuff makes you feel like you're actually at the location. Obviously, Expedition Everest has a heck of a lot more theming towards that whole Tibetan Himalayan type of theme, but in the sense of what's accurate to being on an expedition at Loch Ness in Scotland, it's probably as accurate as you can get within this space, within this park. And they do have a bunch of different things here that you would need for that type of expedition into a loch, which includes a diving bell that they have just sat there in the middle of the queue, as well as it's worth pointing out that it's shaded, completely shaded, and I love to see that because it's like approaching 100 degrees today, so I am thankful for it. Now, I was worried that the switchbacks in the queue were going to be pretty hot because there weren't any fans or anything, but you move pretty quickly through that area all the way up into the station, and there was some pretty cool posters and different printed things that fit in this area, as well as like some sort of communication station. It reminded me a lot of how they did that similar thing in Verbolten's queue. Finally, we make it to the station, and that hasn't changed too much other than repainting and stuff like that. Sorry, Loch Ness Monster is going by right now. Not too much to say about the station. However, it looks fresh. Everything looks nice. I thought they might have added some things to it, or maybe changed up the way that dispatches happen or something like that. But to be honest, even though when I showed up it was an hour wait, I probably only waited like 35. So things are moving and dispatches are happening pretty quickly. So I'm thankful to see that. However, I do want to point out that the Quick Queue and the Disability Access Program here, I think it's called the RAP, Ride Accessibility Program, at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, that only enters on row 2, so you can't go anywhere else. You can't sit anywhere else, or maybe it doesn't hurt to ask, but that's what they have designated for those programs. Now, finally, I got into the front row, and unfortunately, as soon as I sat down, they sat somebody next to me who, seeing my GoPro, started asking questions and then proceeded to provide me live commentary of his reactions to almost every element of the ride, and also asking me questions. But either way, so you're not going to hear that audio, but as evidenced by a lot of the bumps and shakes that you will see throughout, it still hasn't changed. There's still a lot of jank to love. So if you were concerned that the Loch Ness Monster was going to be too smooth for your taste, I promise you, it is still very much there, alive and well. Whatever jerking around and getting thrown about that you wanted, it's still there. One thing that did surprise me, though, is that there was audio going on throughout the lift hill. And there's a narrative now, and we're going on an expedition. And like the voiceover was great, the music was great, down to like the technical placement of speakers, volume, and all of that. Because I've been on ones, I think it was Mystic Timbers, where the music fell off on the lift hill, and that kind of brought me out of the experience, if you know what I mean. It was too loud, it was going on too long, and it wasn't timed well. Here, there was none of that. It felt like timing-wise, it was perfect. Volume-wise, I could hear everything without it kind of blaring or making my ears clamp down. Give them major props for going that far, because I think after that, the other next audio cue that you get to is probably the big Helix, and then coming out of the second loop. So following that, you have your first drop, go up, come on back, do the first loop, which was smoother than the second one. I'm going to side by side here, the footage from each one, and you can see which one kind of tossed me around more. Yeah, that was an experience, let me tell you. I didn't know until I watched the footage back that the second loop was significantly rougher. But then the next surprise to me, because I tried to keep spoiler free on this, honestly, the Helix, they added like screens and stuff, so like you're meant to be going through some sort of underwater cavern or something like that, and it showed. It was really cool. So it was a little bit of darkness with like big spots of like underwater scenes that you were looking through, and I think you're going through it fast, so I think I saw Loch Ness Monster, the Loch Ness Monster, going through there or something, making a little appearance. However, the ambience, the lighting, the music, everything kind of made it feel like a whole new experience. Because I remember back before this, it was just nothing. It was completely pitch black, and I mean, you just kind of accepted it. But finally, when you get out of there, you go into that little brake run, right? A little trim, and then go down into the second loop, which I already mentioned. That was, I bounced, basically. I bounced going from the transition into the second one. It bounced me, and then we went in. And that little bounce part, like, caught me off guard, that I didn't realize that the statue is to your right of the Loch Ness Monster. So very much like an Expedition Everest, which, you know, Disco Yeti is what we got over there. It's not an animatronic. Here it's a statue, so just like that. And it goes by very quickly with an audio cue, like a roar or something like that, so that you can't really tell that it's just a statue. And it happens so quick that you're like, you turn and it's gone, and then you're in the loop. So I see what they were going for. I don't know if the effect is like working the strongest it could be. However, I still got to give them props for putting in that kind of effort. Finally, we get into the final brake run, which is nice and covered. I think you can kind of see it behind me. I'll have shared a shot of it most likely by now. However, the final narration plays there, like, welcome back, you did it, you made it, giving me universal vibes, like, oh wow, thank goodness you survived, type of things. Like, love it. Love to see that type of energy here, because honestly, beforehand, there was not much bringing me here other than those interlocking loops, and that was mostly just to feel like I was riding history, because I always thought and feel like most arrows have numbered days, so it is honestly surprising to see Busch Gardens put some love into it. It seems to be a pretty big fan favorite. Like, guests really like this ride, so I am just so happy to see them putting energy and love and money, a little capex, into this, because otherwise this would not exist anymore. It just would be so easy for them to be like, it's not worth the effort, and then put in something that's off the shelf. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for me here. Just some thoughts after riding Loch Ness Monster a few times. I think I mentioned I did the front row. It was bumpy. In the middle, slightly less so. Don't know what it's like in the back at the moment, but when you do like quick queue and stuff like that, they don't really let you choose, and I only wanted to do the regular queue once because it is an hour wait. All right, but big shout out to Busch Gardens for doing this. If you have ridden this, please let me know down below what your thoughts are about the refurbished Loch Ness Monster. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and I hope you go make your own adventure. Bye.